Exactly 1 year ago, I was on a business trip to Atlanta. I had just done my very first episode of the Golf Card Strategy Show with my friend Paul Hickey. I was pumped to do some sort of golf card content. On the plane ride from Calgary to Atlanta, I made several pages of notes, ideas for show formats, YouTube videos, subjects, what I would find interesting. I had half a day on Saturday in Atlanta after all my meetings had wrapped up, and I originally thought of going golfing since I would be heading back home that evening to a Canadian snowy winter months away from the golf season. However, it turned out to be pretty darn cold in Atlanta that weekend. So then my next thought was to find the best local card shop in Atlanta to spend my afternoon buying some cards and just enjoying the hobby. I did some research for my hotel room and found a couple of options, but it turns out none of that would matter. Because I came down with the worst sickness of my life. I couldn't even get out of my hotel bed for 3 straight days. I didn't get to go golfing. I didn't get to go to a big card store in the US, but at least from the airport on my way back home to Canada, I made a deal over Facebook with a fellow Canadian to get my very first Colin Morikawa blue PMG rookie card. What is up? Welcome back to Fondling Cardboard. I'm your host, Mike LaCusta, aka the Golf Card Collector. Well, who would have guessed that the world's largest sports card store would open up in Atlanta precisely 1 year later? That's right. About 2 weeks ago, actually not even that, I think 1 week ago, the biggest card store called Cards HQ opened up in downtown Atlanta, and it's run by Jeff Wilson, the sports card investor. Now, y'all know how I know about sports card investing. However, as a collector, there's nothing I would love more than strolling through his aisles and looking at the greatest collection of sports card available in a retail brick and mortar store. Now, some people have talked badly about the concept of his store, 14,000 square feet of retail space, and whether or not his business can succeed. Are they busy? Will they make money? Will it all fall flat? But at the end of the day, I am not a journalist. I just love the idea of a Disneyland for sports card collectors. So, good for you, Jeff Wilson. Today is an episode that I am really excited about. I have gotten so many messages, DMs, comments on Instagram and Facebook of people with just very encouraging and motivating things to say about the Fondling Cardboard show. So thank you to all of you who have reached out. Don't be a stranger. Today, I'm getting back to golf cards. And for those of you who don't like golf cards, I encourage you to still tune in because there's going to be some themes and topics that relate more to the cards themselves than the actual sport of golf. But I will actually be kicking off with some updates on what's going on in the golf world. And then lastly, we're going to get into a brand new section that I'm really excited about, which is the community mailbag. That's right. I put up some questions wanted posts across my Instagram and Facebook, and you guys delivered. So I'm going to be answering your questions about everything cards, golf, and more. Nick Dunlop wins the American Express about 2 weeks ago. Now, that probably just sounds like some rookie had a great showing, but it's much more than that. Nick Dunlop is an amateur. He is not even a professional golfer, and he won the American Express, a PGA Tour event. That is unbelievable. It's the first time that an amateur has won on tour since Phil Mickelson won in 1991. That is 33 years before Nick Dunlop was even born. This guy's a 20-year-old amateur golfer, which I believe made him the youngest amateur to win on tour since like 100 years ago or something like that. So hopefully we've got lots of Nick Dunlop cards coming in the future. Speaking of young guns, we are less than 2 months away from the 2024 Upper Deck Golf release, and Upper Deck is going to be taking the Young Gun property, which is the flagship rookie card for hockey players, and Upper Deck is hoping to make them a key card for golf too. There were Young Gun golf cards in 2001, which didn't continue any subsequent years, so I'm not holding my breath that they will turn into anything, but I would love to be proven wrong. You can go back and get a Matt Kuchar Young Gun, and I think that's probably the best one available from back in 2001. I know a lot of you are actually excited about it, so let me know if you'd be interested in doing some kind of digital event around it, around the release, like a break or giveaway, and if there's some interest, I can hassle Upper Deck to see if we can get something worked out. And lastly, in the updates in the world of golf, is this week is the Waste Management Open in Phoenix, Arizona. Now, a friend of mine just couldn't answer my call earlier because he was packing up to head down to Phoenix. So, Brett, I am jealous of you, my man. When I look at the leaderboard, I see some familiar faces. And I believe this is considered an elevated event this year. So there will be some hot names on the list. Top of the leaderboard, Sahith Theegala is sitting after round 1, 6 under par. And I love to see it because Sahith not only is a wonderful young man and a very likable person, but he also has a lot of golf cards. So I personally have all sorts of Sahith Theegala cards, typically that fit within my sets. And hey, I'll be talking about those a little bit later in the episode. Scrolling down the list, some other familiar names. Shane Lowry, Jordan Spieth is tied 5th at 3 under par, and he's tied with a Canadian, Nick Taylor, also at 3 under par. And if my memory's right, there were 2 Canadians in the run last year, Nick Taylor and Adam Hadwin. And it was actually kind of funny because last year, when I was watching Waste Management on the TV with both Nick and Adam in contention, I was actually visiting their hometown of Abbotsford, British Columbia, visiting my grandmother for her 90th birthday. So, Nick, I hope you can pull off the win this year. But I guess I will have to settle for staying at home, working, and watching the repeats of the Tiger Woods hole-in-one at the Phoenix Waste Management Open, back when there was no grandstands around the hole. I think that's the famous hole number 16. If you haven't seen it already, check it out on YouTube. Mailbag. Sorry, Jesse from Sports Card Nonsense. I totally stole that from you. But let's dive into it. I threw up a post on the Golf Cards and Memorabilia Facebook group and also on my Instagram at The Golf Card Collector, and had lots of good commentary coming through. So let's dig through this. And to help me out, I have my virtual assistant, Mr. ChatGPT, to queue up some questions for us. So hit us up, Chat.
The header photo is a set from 1900, yet the vast majority of stuff here are new cards and autos.
Yeah, I don't know if I like you, Mr. ChatGPT assistant, but I'll give you another chance here. So basically, that was a question from Glenn DeRosa from the Facebook group, who said that the header photo of the group was from 1900. So that was the 1900 Cope set. And he's saying, why is the vast majority of stuff within the group new golf cards? And he and I actually got into a bit of back and forth over the comments. But basically, here's my thoughts. I want the group to consist of whatever the audience wants. And so I'm going to throw up a poll in our group with some options for what we should use for the cover photo. Let's make this a democracy. But at the end of the day, my initial thoughts are this. Activity within a group is representative of what group members want to talk about. I collect basketball, hockey, F1, and UFC cards too, and I can guarantee that vintage golf cards have far better representation within the Golf Cards and Memorabilia Facebook group compared to vintage representation in those other sports dedicated Facebook groups. So that's just some food for thought. Okay, Mr. ChatGPT, what's the next question?
Mike LaCusta, you can laugh at the comment if you want, but with all the great and important card sets out there from 1900 to 1981, yet Being ignored is shameful for a page calling itself Golf Cards and Memorabilia. When all I see is Woods, Thomas, Morikawa, Rom Auto Cards, and Nicholas Funny Looking Doll Autos, well, you may as well rename the page to 21st Century New Golf Stuff. Boring.
Okay, looks like ChatGPT picked up on Glenn's response on one of our back and forths. Yeah, let's move on. Give me a real question, Mr. ChatGPT assistant.
What's your favorite non-golfer golf card? Example, JFK Tops.
Ooh, this is a good one. This was from Aaron Assels, also in the Facebook group. There are a lot of these non-golfer golf cards, a lot more than you'd think anyways. And I've actually had this topic on my list for an entire dedicated episode topic. But in terms of my favorite, that's absolutely easy because a few episodes back, I did an entire episode with that as the card of the week. And that was the 1994 National Promo Michael Jordan. And it's the gold version with the dual image. So I think actually the card of the week was just the golf version of the card, but there's a horizontal dual image of him playing basketball and golf all on one card. So yeah, that's my favorite. Okay, ChatGPT, give me another one.
2001 Tour Threads, the different color shirts and print runs for each for TW.
I gotta figure out how to get ChatGPT to mention the people's names on these questions, but this one came from Brian TVC. I think you probably pronounce that Tvik, but I'm just gonna call you TVC. Anyways, the 2001 Tour Threads is a very iconic set for Tiger Woods rookie patch cards with pieces of tournament-used Tiger Woods golf shirts embedded into the card. And I actually didn't know anything about this. I didn't realize they were rare. But after doing some research for your question, Brian, I did find some information on Blowout Cards forums. I'm going to try and give some credit here. So somebody called The Vault Collect was asking for information on the various versions of the shirt swatches embedded in the card and what the rarity is of each. Brian, sorry if that's you. The Vault Collect might actually be you. Anyways, a couple people did provide some very great information. So Thunder Dunk replied saying that he's seen 4 different variations of this card. There is a white patch, a white with big blue stripe, a red, and a blue with small white stripes. So I have a feeling these 4 shirts came from a specific tournament where Tiger wore, one shirt for each of the 4 days of the golf tournament. That's my hypothesis. Anyways, the only information I could find in terms of population were for 3 of Mr. Thunderdunk's favorites. So in terms of the striped variation, only 17 total have been graded by PSA in 20 years. Only 50 total were graded for the red variation in 20 years. And 144 versions were graded of just the plain white napkin variation. So, Brian, I hope that helps. Okay, GPT, I need another question.
Anyone have an idea if Ludwig Aberg will be in the new Upper Deck release?
And this question about Ludwig Aberg in the new release, this came from Thomas Meyer. And Thomas, man, I really hope so. The 24-year-old Ludwig Aberg from Sweden absolutely crushes the ball. He won the RSM Classic last fall, which I was upset about because the Canadian Mac Hughes came in second. But Ludwig is showing a lot of promise. He's got 4 pro wins already around the world, 1 on the PGA Tour, and he's only 24 years old. So he certainly has the makeup to become a star. In fact, he even came second place at Pebble Beach last weekend. It's unbelievable, actually. I just checked out the official world golf rankings, and he's already 11th in the world. Yeah, that's incredible. So I normally get my information on Cardboard Connection when it comes to checklists, and I do not see any checklists up for the new Upper Deck 2024 golf release. Usually it isn't available until right around release date. Sometimes it leaks a week or 2 early, but this is coming out in late March, if I recall correctly. So we've probably got a few more weeks before we get any kind of spoilers, and potentially a month and a half before we know for sure. I wouldn't hold my breath since he hit the scene so hard and fast in the middle of last year. I doubt Upper Deck had time to fit him in, but you never know. All right, next question. ChatGPT.
Let's talk about 90s golf. Though the overprint era, some important cards are Arnold Palmer's True RC in 90 Pro Set. Also, Payne Stewart, Greg Norman, John Daly, huge influencers on the game. Tough cards like the 2 award holograms and the NFL crossover Pro line with the Payne Stewart Auto and John Daly 24 KT gold embossed card.
And that question came from Pat Bonnet from the Facebook group, another Alberta resident. I don't think you asked a question there, but some really good points. We really should respect the 90s. There's some really amazing cards there. Shout out to my friend James Peacock, because I know he has a copy of that 24 karat gold John Daly, which is actually a lot more rare of a card than I was aware of. It was actually specially inserted into a football sealed product called All Madden Team Cards. Funny enough, on the side of the box, it says, "Say no to drugs." So I know James has a couple of these boxes and might go digging for that John Daly card for second copy, because we all know it's special to pull the card for yourself as a collector. So good luck, James, with landing that one. But back to what Pat Bonnet was saying. Thanks for spreading the word of the 90s cards. They get so little love, especially from me. So I smell a dedicated episode coming someday. All right, ChatGPT. I need some more, but you got to start doing better, or else I might have to read out these questions myself. Okay, give me something from Instagram.
Here are the most recent questions you sent for your podcast. One from Iowa. Dave, do the newer 2022-ish Tiger PMGs hold any real currency among golf card collectors? Or is that something more for outsiders to the golf card space who only have some abstract idea that PMGs are allegedly supposed to be desirable?
Hey, good boy, ChatGPT. Except it's Iowa Dave, not Iowa Dave. Anyways, Dave, am I sensing some tone here? Because you can tell by some of the projects that am sharing on this podcast that I am a biased person to answer this question. Because I collect other sports like basketball, and I love the PMGs, the precious metal gems. When they were announced for golf for 2021 Metal Universe Champions, I got absolutely hyped about it. And I've bought a lot of them, including completing the PMG rainbow of my PC player, Matthew Wolf. And I don't regret it. So trying to remove my bias, I'm seeing different pools of collectors, and there's definitely a good-sized pool that is all about the PMGs. The people who don't care for the PMGs don't seem to harbor any ill will or resentments towards them, any more so anyways than other shiny modern cards. And to be frank, they probably don't even know what PMGs are. But a shout out to a couple of guys who have fantastic golf PMG collections. And on Instagram, that's Tiger Cards Only and at Hillcrest03. So check them out. Actually, it looks like Iowa Dave has got a second question. All right, ChatGPT, give it to me.
I want one Arnold Palmer card for my collection. I'm on a budget, but artistic value is also important to me. I give you $150. Pick me out one card.
Ooh, okay, I get to do some window shopping for Dave. It's funny how it works, but my favorite Arnold Palmer card is only like $10. And that's the 1991 Pro Set Arnold Palmer Award hologram. So assuming you want to blow your entire $150 though, I tried to think up a few options for you. With modern cards, it's tough because most of them depict Arnold Palmer at his age in the early 2000s, which is like a really old man. And so in terms of the imagery, which you said was important, I wouldn't necessarily recommend a lot of them. There are some really cool cards from 2014-15 kind of time frame from the Upper Deck All-Time Greats Master Collection, but they are all low-numbered autographs and more in the $400 to $800 range. So I had to dig a little deeper. I did come across one that I would love for my own PC, and that's the 1998 Gold Foil Master Collection Champions of Golf, numbered 1962. And this is Arnold Palmer winning the Masters. I think it's the Masters, anyways. I should pull up a picture again. But it's such an amazing photo of him, and it's a tall boy card. So it's not a typical 2.5 by 3.5 or 4, whatever inches a normal trading card is. If you ever look up Tiger Woods tall boy rookie card, and you actually, you know what? I own it. So I'm going to take a picture of it and put his Tiger Woods 2001 regular Upper Deck rookie card, so you can see the size difference. But it's an amazing card, and it would be cool for me to own anyways, because then I could pair it with my 1997 Tiger Woods tall boy rookie. For the Arnold Palmer, a PSA 8 gold foil sold for $130. It had a line striked through the price and said best offer accepted. So I forget how eBay works these days. Maybe that $130 is the best offer accepted. Maybe somebody lowballed them and it was $60. Heck, I don't know. But in any case, Dave, that's the card I choose for you. All right, I need another question. ChatGPT.
From Brandon Kaiser. I didn't play golf growing up, but love it now. It's a tough sport, so people get frustrated and stop playing. But it is the ultimate sport, in my opinion. It's a global game, too, even though card prices don't reflect it. That's why I kind of feel golf cards are undervalued. It hurts that there are not cards of every player, but the ones that do have cards. They are beautiful. Golfers have longer careers than most of the other sports. They play almost year-round. There is a lot to like about golf, but the LIV PGA situation has made the PGA Tour hard to watch for me. Hopefully that changes. My question to you is, why aren't golf cards more desirable? It's the sport that so many people play, young and old, people of all races. I wonder how many golfers actually know that they do make golf cards.
Awesome commentary there, Brandon. And also thanks for helping me test out if ChatGPT is able to read out an entire novel. I'm just kidding. You had some really great comments, and I'll get to your question here. So to me, I think golf cards are desirable. In fact, I think there is a desire out there in the public, in the trading card community. The problem is because of the format of the PGA Tour and golf as a sport, it's not in a defined player and team format with contracts that card companies can leverage. Upper Deck has to dig every individual player, and they can only get about half of the top names because some of them are greedy or some of them just aren't willing to engage or sign. And that's, I said half, that's if they're lucky. And another problem is that by the time they've designed and printed a set and they're ready to release it, it doesn't work like a typical sports rookie class does. So this year's a prime example. If Ludwig Aberg is not included in this set, but their poster boy for new rookies is Sam Bennett, and we aren't really seeing Sam Bennett all that often on PGA events this year, that just kind of goes to show how, they didn't necessarily pitch their horse on the right, how does that work? Pitch their wagon on the right horse? I think that's a phrase anyways. They don't know who the rookie standouts are going to be. There's no draft like in the NHL, NBA, NFL, and those kind of team sports. And the rookies kind of come and go as they have success. So somebody might play their very first PGA Tour event on the last event of the season. So all in all, it's really hard for card manufacturers to execute this well. And it's caused them to just focus on a select few GOATs in terms of which golfers they're going to make cards for. And it can make set collectors and just card collectors in general feel confined when collecting golf, unless you only collect those GOAT players. And by the way, ChatGPT, you got to learn how to say live, not LIV or whatever you said. Anyways, I need another question, ChatGPT. Let's go.
From 2GolfF, is there a PSA 1 golf collector? Someone who only targets low grade cards. It's like a hole-in-one.
That's a funny question. I haven't seen anybody who specifically only collects PSA 1s, but my first memory that pops into my mind is there was a guy on the Golf Cards and Memorabilia Facebook group who was trying to collect the 2001 Tiger Woods rookie in every grade. So PSA 1, PSA 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't think he was going for half grades because I've actually seen some rookie cards of his in PSA 8.5, but that would just be absurdly hard to complete. In fact, probably impossible. But yeah, that he definitely was trying to collect the PSA 1 Tiger rookie. And it was funny because people were trying to make suggestions on how to alter the card, but in a negative way, to try and get some of the lower grades. Because where the heck are you going to get a Tiger Woods PSA 3 2001 rookie card? So people are saying, bang up the edges, or you should rough up the corners like this, or put a dent into it. So yeah, I don't know how that guy ended up. All right, looks like ChatGPT is tired. He is done for the day. So I'm going to read off the rest of these questions myself and fly through the rest of MAILBAG before I can share the card of the week before I go to bed. All right, the next question is from Jay Buongiorno. I think that's how you pronounce your last name. If breakers get better product than hobby shops. So I guess Jay is asking if breakers get better product than hobby shops. Now, when you say better product, are you referring to rigged boxes? Because that's a pretty controversial topic. I don't normally like accusing companies of things like that, or even diving into the details of that sort of thing, because I don't have firsthand sources. Sports Card Nonsense is actually a podcast with Jesse and Mike who have who have covered this type of subject. And I get the impression from what they've researched that it's unlikely, but it's, in my opinion, sort of like election fraud. Did it happen in 2020? I mean, relying on people to physically sort things, I'm sure it's not zero, but I don't think it was a systemic issue like some people were making it out to be. So in the same sense, are there rigged boxes? I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure there's been some manufacturers who just slide the box with the red sticker on the side to, some celebrity who's going to open it on Instagram Live and give them some free exposure. Like, yeah, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's a systemic issue that breakers get that cheese. All right, next question is from Eric. He says, I'm wondering if I outbid you on this. And then he sent me a picture of a Will Zalatoris rookie autograph card. I think it was an exquisite. I can't remember now. But it wasn't the retro exquisite style that I collect. So no, man, it wasn't me. I just want the retro rookie auto. But yeah, I also collect Zalatoris a little bit with Cosmics, PMGs, Star Rubies, that sort of thing. Ooh, okay, this next one is really cool, a really interesting concept. This is Brett McGrath from Stacking Slabs, which is another great podcast, by the way. He asks, what is your Mount Rushmore of golf cards? Now, when I thought about this one, I realized there's a few different ways I could look at this. Because Tiger Woods is without a doubt the most recognized golfer in the world, and he has so many incredible cards, way more than any other golfer. And he could easily fill up multiple Mount Rushmores himself. So I'm not taking your question as, what are the best cards or the coolest cards? Although maybe I look forward to answering that on another podcast someday. But when I think of a Mount Rushmore, I think of it as cementing in history the greatest sportsmen of their times. And so I've gone with the GOATs of golf from different eras of history. And when I picked out these cards, something kind of cool stuck out to me. They might not be my personal favorite cards, but they're all the first ever printing of that player. And I kind of picked them intuitively because they all have similar styling. They're all that kind of Mount Rushmore type of card. I mean, physically, the mountain, the Ginter Gold Fever type of styling. Anyways, let's get into it. So first is going back, actually, I'll go in chronological order. So 1900, Cope Brothers and Company, Tom Morris, card number 2 in the set. And this is a card I've talked about on the podcast with John Morton, who's our pre-war golf card expert. And this is his favorite card in his set. This is old Tom Morris's rookie card. It is a beautiful, beautiful vintage tobacco card. Next up, 1933 Gaudi Sport Kings Bobby Jones, number 38. The 1933 Sport King set is a multi-sport set, probably the original multi-sport set. Maybe I'm wrong when I say that, but definitely one of the most recognized. And it's the type of set that has the beautiful coloring on the cards. And it's kind of cool. It came in packs of gum as opposed to cigarettes and tobacco. All right, the third card on the Mount Rushmore. Oh, and by the way, I'm picking 4 cards because I know the real Mount Rushmore has 4 heads on it for the 4 presidents. So card number 3 is the 1971 Barrett & Company Limited Gold Flake Famous Sportsman Jack Nicklaus number 6. And so this is a tobacco card of Jack Nicklaus, the first ever printing of a Jack Nicklaus card. And last but not least is the 1996 Sports Illustrated for Kids Tiger Woods. I knew y'all saw that one coming. Had to save Tiger for last. Is it his best card? I guess not, no, but it's certainly one of his most iconic. It's the first card he ever had printed, as far as I'm aware. I have a copy of this card, and I love it. I'm holding it right now. Definitely just makes me feel connected to that time in Tiger's career. All right. What is up next? Let's see here. Ooh, speaking of Matthew Wolf, I mentioned him earlier. From the Matt Wolf fan page, he asks, what is your first memory of collecting cards? That's a throwback to the first episode of Fondling Cardboard, which was my origin story, the golf card collector's origin story. I was 6 years old in kindergarten, 1998, and I saw some of the older kids at school having Pokemon cards in the schoolyard and in the hallways, and I wanted so badly to know what the heck they were. I didn't even know what, trading cards were. So that Christmas, I had to go visit my dad. My parents are divorced, and my dad lived down in Phoenix, Arizona. So he flew up to Canada to pick me up, and he asked what I wanted to do for the afternoon before we flew down to Phoenix, and I told him I wanted Pokemon cards. So we drove around all around rainy Vancouver, stopping at gas stations, bookstores, all sorts of places. And we didn't know where to buy cards, and we didn't have any luck. That is until we got to Phoenix. And so when we finally showed up in Phoenix, he made it his mission to find me some Pokemon cards. I don't even remember what they were. Probably some janky, base set first ever Pokemon cards, which I probably still have. So that's my first ever golf card. That's my first ever card memory. And then my buddy James Peacock asks, what's the first golf card you added to your collection? And that's kind of cool. Kind of builds upon the last question. I wasn't even sure what it was, so I had to go digging through the deep archives of my eBay purchases. And the very first golf card I ever purchased was actually a complete set of the 2001 Tiger Tails rookie cards. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar, Tiger Tails are not rare Tiger Woods rookie cards. In fact, in that set, I believe you would actually get a Tiger Tails card in every single pack that you opened. Or at least that's what I recall. So the complete set was like $20 or something like that. But actually shortly after that, literally within a few days, 4 or 5 days later, I bought a 2001 Tiger Woods rookie card, number 1, which is his proper pack pulled rookie, in a BGS 9 grade. So that's maybe my first single golf card. All right, looks like we got one more left, and this is from JB the Hobby, who, by the way, has a very impressive collection, so check out JB the Hobby on Instagram. And he said, I wouldn't mind seeing Live Tour cards. And actually, I'm with you. I would love to see some Live cards. Not that I love the Live Tour more than the PGA Tour, but one thing I really think Live Tour has going for it, and that could make it successful with a sports card release, is that it's team-based. And team members could be contractually obligated to fulfill, duties like this. Media duties. This isn't signing trading cards or having your likeness printed on a trading card isn't a media duty. However, there could be some kind of leverage in their contracts to make sure that every Live player for a given season has a card printed. So I would love it simply for that fact. But in addition to that, I mean, there's a lot of all-time greats that play on Live now. It's kind of where they went to get a big fat paycheck, so we don't hear about them a lot as much in the mainstream. But guys like, Dustin Johnson, Bryson DeChambeau, Cam Smith, there's all kinds of amazing golfers on the Live Tour. Actually, it looks like JB the Hobby had one more comment. He says, there are all kinds of collectors out there, and I like collecting across many genres. But to me, golf is the most relatable and enjoyable. I've had those putts. We hit from the same bunkers, but the level of skill and practice of a professional golfer is unmatched. If you don't feel for the sport and are just a trader, investor, it's the best bang for buck. Unlimited upside and international appeal. Your Justin Herbert fan probably lives in California. Your Tiger Woods fan, spin the globe and pick anywhere. Awesome. JB the Hobby provided some good commentary there. Didn't look like there was a specific question, but yeah, I agree. Tiger Woods is a global icon. His cards don't show it in their prices. So I agree. There's a lot of potential there. Great stuff. And in addition to Tiger, I mean, all the other golfers have global appeal too. So not that I'm trying to convince investors to start putting money into our sport per se, but yeah, the more people collecting and stimulating the golf cards, the better. Holy smokes, guys. We got through a lot of mailbag questions there. That's nearly half an hour answering your questions. As my first ever mailbag request, I am stunned really at the amount of great comments, great questions. I really appreciate you guys. Seriously. I do this podcast because I love golf cards, because I love to just sit here and fondle my cards and talk about them. And if anybody's willing to listen, that's great. But to have that kind of engagement, it just makes it that much more fulfilling. And that was one of my New Year's resolutions, was to have more engagement, more commentary, more back and forth with you guys, the listeners. So hit me up in a DM and yeah, let's chat about cards. So we're going to get into the final segment of the day, which is Card of the Week Spotlight. And dialing it back all the way to the top of this episode, I talked about a card that I purchased in Atlanta at the airport while I was still feeling extremely sick, mind you. And I saw this card on eBay, and it was listed at auction. So sitting in the airport scrolling, I came across this card newly listed on auction. And I contact the seller immediately and say, hey, I've always wanted this card, and I missed out on one recently. And I said, the set came out pretty recently, so I know prices are high. And as the weeks go on, prices typically decline. And I said, I'm upset I missed out on that last one. And I said, in fact, I was the second highest bidder, so I even bid the price up a little bit. I said, if you cancel the auction right now, let's work out a deal. And I'm willing to pay above the last comp. So the seller got back to me right away and said, sure, auction's canceled. And this is probably a big no-no, but I secretly exchanged my personal information through the eBay chat. And he connected with me on either Instagram or Facebook. I forget which one it was. But yeah, he turned out to be a fellow Canadian. And the card itself was a 2021 Metal Universe Champions Collin Morikawa Blue Precious Metal Gems. And it's serial numbered out of 25. And this is his rookie season. So I just absolutely love the deepness, the texture, everything about these PMGs. And this is not the retro style of PMG, so it doesn't have that really stark, extreme look to it. It's got maybe a softer appeal with some text boxes on the front that describes, one of them here has a picture of a golf ball, and it says, after birdieing the 14th in the final round, Morikawa eagled the 16th to take the lead, and he held on to win his first major title in the professional tour on August 9th, 2020. And of course, that was that the PGA? Yes, that was the PGA, because his second major was the Open out in Great Britain. Anyways, just an amazing card. I loved it so much that when I saw another one pop up for a slightly lower price on eBay, I hit buy it now instantly. And then I bought a third copy. And this is going to be first world problems, but I forget if I bought a fourth copy of this card too. So I'm probably getting delirious because it's late at night and I'm pretty tired. But anyways, I love the card. It's out of 25, and I have multiple copies, so that's pretty special. Hey guys, I got one more special treat for you, and that is I am bringing back quotes to end the show. So today, it is actually more of a paraphrase than a hard quote. And here it is. When I love something, I want to own a physical representation of it. And this is paraphrased from The Sports Card Therapist with the original sentiment by Dan, the great curator. Potentially both controversial hobby participants. In fact, Sports Card Therapist isn't even really around anymore. And it's funny, I had this sentence written down in my notes for the podcast because I was listening to a Sports Card Therapist podcast. And since then, he's taken down his whole podcast and deleted his Instagram and erased his footprint on the hobby. And it was all for something silly. Like he didn't commit a crime or anything necessarily. So, I thought it was interesting that I noted down a quote from one of his shows. That's about it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I put a lot of work into the show, and it would mean a lot to me if you could, in Brett's words from Stacking Slabs, tell a damn friend. Spread the word, and I look forward to talking to you again next week.